What's going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this Eastern Current fishing video. So today I want to talk to y'all about the three main types of popping cork that I throw when inshore fishing here in North Carolina.
Hit it. Nice fish.
There's a lot of different styles of popping cork now, a lot of different ways to fish popping corks, and people are fishing popping corks for a lot of different types of fish. But I'm going to show you all kind of like the three shapes and styles that seem to be the most productive in inshore fishing in shallower water conditions. And so, like I mentioned, there's lots of different shapes and sizes of these corks, and each one, performs a little bit differently in the water. So I'm going to start with kind of what I would consider to be the least aggressive popping cork and kind of work my way up to, the most aggressive popping cork. And the first one that I like to fish, which would be the least aggressive, is the pencil popper. This pencil popper has no cupping on either side. It's going to slide through the water. You're really fishing this lure here, or this cork here, for the popping noise that it makes instead of like a chugging noise in the water. So every time you pop it on the water, you're getting this slapping noise like this. And it sounds like a shrimp popping or bait fish popping on the surface, and that keys that fish in. So when I'm fishing a popping cork, obviously I'm running a leader off this popping cork to a jig head or some type of soft plastic bait, usually behind, sometimes live bait as well. In Louisiana and Texas, a lot of guys are fishing live shrimp or small bait fish underneath these floats. And I do that, but I usually use a slip float or a float that I can peg on the line as opposed to an actual cork when doing that. Just making it easier to cast is crucial there. But on a lot of these corks, you're going to see different combinations of beads and weights. You really want a cork that does have some type of weight on one side of it so that cork will sit correctly in the water. That way when you pull it, it's going to tilt and it's going to make it easier for everything to slap and make more noise. And that just, that noise attracts more fish and hopefully attracts more bites. But this pencil popper is great. It just doesn't move a ton of water. It just makes that quiet popping noise. And so I'm fishing this in shallower water, 1 to 3 feet of water when I know the fish are in there, and I'm just really trying to give it a little bit of movement. I'm using this one a little bit less as a search bait and more as kind of like a search bait still, but in a tighter area where I know the fish are around. It works really, really well in calmer conditions too. If the wind's not blowing really hard, it's really slick calm, and I still want to fish a popping cork, I'll throw this. And I will fish this in deeper water as well when it's real calm. I know I mentioned 1 to 3 feet of water, but even 3 to 5 feet of water, if it's really calm, this can work great. But it's really, this bait's all about that popping noise there when you twitch that rod tip. And so usually on this bait, when I'm retrieving it, I want to get kind of a pop and let it sit 3, 4, 5 seconds, pop, sit 3, 4, 5 seconds, and wait for that fish to key in and come eat that bait. So I like to almost imagine that I'm seeing the fish come in to eat this bait. My first pops will be real aggressive, then a little bit lighter, and a little bit lighter, and kind of pretending that fish is moving in, just in case it is. So when I'll throw it into an area, I know that those first couple pops are going to cover about a 8 to 12 foot span of area. So if a fish is 8 to 12 feet from this, I know that he'll probably hear this and at least come investigate. So those first couple pops are for that fish that might be a little bit further away. And as he's closing the distance, or imagining that he's closing the distance, I'm lightening those pops up. And sometimes when you're in the fish, you can almost just count it down. When they're going to eat it. So the pencil popper is a great one if you're not wanting to move a ton of water, but you still want a little bit of noise and water movement to attract that fish in. Another thing is there's other shaped popping corks that work a lot like the pencil popper. There's like some oval and ball shaped popping corks as well that move just a little bit more water than the pencil popper, but they still don't have the cupping, so it's not like throwing the water or splashing water around too much. And then there's kind of like a teardrop shaped one as well that works really nicely. And different people fish different ones, but I'm just showing y'all the ones that I really like to fish. The other great thing about this cork here is it throws really well. That thin diameter allows you to cast at a great distance. So next we're going to move into cupped corks here. And the nice thing about a cupped popping cork, you can tell this one's been used a lot and chewed up quite a bit. The nice thing about a cupped popping cork is the fact that it actually catches a little bit of water here in this cup and throws it forward. This one's kind of the same setup. We got 2 beads up top, 2 beads at the bottom, and we got a bullet weight here on the shaft of this cork. And I'll fish this the same way, but I know I can have a little bit more distance, maybe 12 to 15 foot coverage when I throw this bait out. I can kind of attract fish in from that distance. So pop, 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 let it sit, pop, 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 let it sit. And the nice thing about these cupped poppers is you can still fish them really lightly, like a pencil popper or an oval shaped or teardrop popper. But you can also give it a little more juice and throw some water with this cup and make a little bit more of a splashing commotion. You see a lot of guys now really throwing these up in the Pamlico Sound and Oriental for bull redfish, as well as down in Louisiana. You get that attraction from like a splash or like a fish getting blown up on, and they get in, they close the distance, and they see that soft plastic bait behind it, and it works really, really well. But this is your, you want to cover a little bit more water, you want to cover a little bit deeper water. This is the cork for you. Any type of cupped cork is key. And so I'm going to take y'all to the very next cupped cork that I'll throw, and this is called the Paradise Popper. This has hands down been my favorite popping cork for larger redfish, and I've caught a lot of small redfish on this as well, fishing shallower water. But it's a lot to throw. So a little light tackle rod that you might throw this on a medium light or a medium fast. This you really want to throw it on a heavier rod. It's got these two brass balls down here, and then it's busted right here. This little washer is usually supposed to stay up here, but this one's been fished and abused. But then you got 3 beads up top, so it's got a really good loud noise. But the key of this one is that cup that throws a ton of water. I mean, you can wind up and just crush that bait, or crush that popping cork and get a lot of noise. I fished this, in anywhere from 3 to 20 feet of water, 25 feet of water. I've caught bull redfish on this. And again, you can fish this for smaller redfish, but a lot of times, like I said, you need that heavier rod, which is key. And so these 3 popping corks will take you through all the depths and all the retrieves that you need to do. I'm going to do another video talking about some of the baits that I like to fish under popping corks, but I think just if you just take whatever your favorite soft plastics are that you're already throwing, you're just adding a little bit more of attraction to that bait. Noise, color, splash, water movement, whatever you want to call it. This is just going to help fish key in on where your soft plastic is. It's going to bring them into the area and then allow them to find your soft plastic and hopefully eat it. When I'm fishing a popping cork, I'm almost always fishing with some scent as well. So adding Pro Cure to that soft plastic. I'll even add Pro Cure to the bottom of my popping cork to kind of have a little bit of scent up on the surface as well, and that can be effective. Well guys, thanks for checking out this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a little something more about popping cork fishing that you can apply the next time you're on the water and catch some more fish. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel. Leave any comments here on Instagram, Facebook, on any of our podcast platforms, and we'll see you in the next one. Later.